Imagine stomping for and trying to shove a presidential candidate down the throats of Black people, people of color who are choosing to vote for Madam VP Kamala Harris. Imagine stomping for a presidential candidate whose own children don't support her. Did you guess it was Jill Stein? I'm sure you guessed it was Jill Stein. Yeah, I was scrolling early this morning and I came across this article from the New York Times. You guys, that's the title of it. You can go out and read it. It talks about her history, her education level, her experience, and what she's been involved with professionally. Ooh, you know that picture that's floating around on social media of her sitting at the table with Michael Flynn and Putin. Yeah, it talks about that meeting. It talks about her lack of history in politics. It talks about how she is always running but never winning. It talks about how she disappears. It talks about how when she comes out to run for president, how she jumps on whatever issue or talking point that is, trending at the time. Yeah, it talks about Jill Stein. And most importantly, and it was shocking to me, it talks about how her friends and her family, how, they don't support her. And they've been trying to get her to drop out of the race. Here's a few snippets from the article. I don't have many. You guys can go and read it for yourself. But here, I found this quote. It's at the beginning of the article. Quote, "For her political activities, she does not have the support of the family," end quote. One of Ms. Stein's adult sons said in an interview asking not to be identified by name to avoid any personal or professional repercussions from associating with her. Do you understand the gravity of that? He's telling news media that the family does not support her, but he doesn't want to put his name out there for fear that he would have to deal with repercussions because of his mother. Another quote. When she told us she was going to run again back in October 2023, we asked her not to. End quote. And then it says, Ms. Stein has ignored them all. Further down in the article, I came across this. For months, people who know Ms. Stein, friends, relatives, long-lost peers, have discussed privately how best to get through to her. They worried she was aiding Mr. Trump despite her protestations. They believed that another dead-end campaign would undercut the ideals she claimed to embody. Some tried to raise the subject delicately through intermediaries. Others composed painful, pointed messages and sent them directly. And that leads into this quote. Quote, "Your constituents and their votes in swing states could make the difference as to whether the USA joins the many authoritarian nations of the world," end quote. This is Mr. Allen, who has been reaching out to Jill Stein. And he's the friend from the 1970s, wrote recently to Ms. Stein, urging her to instruct supporters to back Ms. Harris. Quote, "If the election weren't so close, I'd vote for you as I did in 2016. So Mr. Allen contributed to Donald Trump getting into the White House in 2016. But moving on with his quote, "Instead, I'm asking you to please be courageous and strategic," end quote. He has received no response. Close family, her own children, friends, professionals have been trying to reach out to Jill Stein, and she is ignoring them. Yeah. And yet you got people on this app, over on other apps, trying to shove this woman down our throat whose own children do not support her. Yeah, I'll see y'all later.